What's up, guys? Welcome back to Creating Cash Flow, where today we are going to be talking about high yield savings accounts. High yield savings accounts have been on the rise. I feel like everybody's talking about them right now and trying to determine what is the best high yield savings account that is out there. I keep getting incomplete lists of maybe 3 to 7 different high yield savings accounts, but I just wanted to be able to see all of the high yield savings accounts that were out there, make my own list, and determine which one I thought was the best based on the things that matter most to me. So in today's video, I have 31 different high yield savings accounts ranked from worst to best. We're going to run through each one of them, and if you already have a high yield savings account, then you can see where yours fits in on my list and why. And if you don't have a high yield savings account, I highly suggest that you get one. It's a great place to keep any emergency fund money you may have, or if you follow Dave Ramsey, the 6-month living expenses that you want to have in cash on hand. That's a great place to store it. Or maybe you're saving up for a vacation or a home and you want to be able to have your down payment in cash, and a high yield savings account is just the best way to keep your money liquid but also earn a good amount of money in the short term. So before we get started, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, and as a thank you for hitting that like button, here is a picture of Graham Stevens. Also, if you're wondering why high yield savings accounts have been on the rise, I have a video that I will link here where you can go learn more about why the interest rates keep going up and some of the details behind that. So looking at this list of 31 high yield savings accounts, if I miss any, if you know about other high yield savings accounts, please add it in the comments. I'd love to add it to my list. But for now, 31 is a pretty good sized list. And how I stack rank them, I think that's very important. I did it based on my personal needs and interests. So the first one is APY. The higher the APY, the better it is, meaning the more interest you can make from that bank, the better. Next is the minimum opening deposit. What's the minimum amount you need to be able to put into the bank to actually start earning interest? The third item that I factored in was if the bank had fees. And if the bank has hidden or unusual fees, or I wasn't sure what their fee policy was, that obviously hurt their ranking. And if they have absolutely no fees, that improved the ranking. I hate getting random little fees from banks, and it's just not worth it. And the final piece that I used to rank these banks is their mobile app rating. The reason why I use their mobile app rating is because I am typically banking on the go. I rarely log in on the website anymore. I'm typically just on the mobile app. So the better the app is and the more reviews the app has, the more likely it's going to be bumped up on my list. So for the banks coming in the last 10 spots, I'm just gonna run through those really quick because I don't know how I can recommend them, but I think it's at least important to put them on the list and show you where they stand. So the first one is Popular Direct, coming in at number 31. It has a high APY of 4.4%, a minimum opening deposit of $5,000, which is the highest opening deposit of any of these banks, an App Store rating that is absolutely abysmal, and only 9 ratings. They also have hidden fees or fees unless you read the fine print. Next up is Sallie Mae, coming in at number 30, 3.4% APY, no minimum opening deposit, an abysmal app rating, and not very many ratings at all, but there's no fees, which is pretty much the only good thing there. At Live Oak Bank, they have an APY of 3.5%, no minimum opening deposit. Again, another poor app store rating with just a handful of people giving it a rating, and they have fees. At Connect One Bank, they have a pretty high APY at 3.9%, a high opening deposit of $2,500, an App Store rating that is really just not that great, especially as we start getting towards the number 1 through 10 banks. With a 3.3, that's just not a strong enough app rating, and they only have 22 ratings. There's also fees involved at Connect One Bank. CIBC US has a 4.01% APY, 1,000 minimum opening deposit, an App Store rating that's a little bit higher, 3.8, but still only 207 reviews, which just isn't a ton, and no fees. Barclays also doesn't have any fees, has an App Store rating of 3.4 with 1,000 ratings, which I was really surprised about. I felt like Barclays would have more ratings. This is probably the most surprising piece that I found throughout this entire project. Their minimum opening deposit is $0, and they have an APY of 3.6%, which is lower but still very competitive. TIAA has an APY of 3.55%, a $25 minimum opening deposit. It's pretty low, makes me wonder why they even have one, and a 4.1 App Store rating. So this is the first one that has an App Store rating with at least a 4 or higher. They have 7,100 ratings, and unfortunately, there's going to be some fees involved. At Bank, there's 4.25% APY, no minimum opening deposit. The App Store rating is a 3.5, and the number of ratings 72, and no fees. So that's good. Lending Club has a 4% APY, a $100 minimum opening deposit, an App Store rating of 4.4 with 2,300 ratings, and no fees. At Quantic Bank, there's a 3.7% APY. So you start seeing these APYs are ranging from about 3.4 to 4.25, I think was the highest one we've seen so far. And the minimum opening deposit is $100, App Store rating of 4.4 with 460 reviews, and no fees. So at number 21, APY 4.25%. This is Bread Bank. Minimum opening deposit is $100. App Store rating 4.5. So that's a pretty good App Store rating, just not a ton of ratings, 1,800. And fees, I put nope with an asterisk because I couldn't find anything about the fees, but that kind of concerns me. I didn't read all of the fine print here. And as you're watching this and choosing which bank that you want to go with, make sure that you do read all of the fine print, especially things can change, things can update. And this is just based on my research, and I'm trying to share some stuff with you. Hopefully it's helpful, but I am not a financial advisor. So here I was just a little bit confused. I don't think there's any fees, but there may be some hidden fees. At BankSeven, there's a 3.3% APY, $100 minimum opening deposit with 439 ratings. They have a 4.9 App Store review, and there's most likely going to be fees that you'll run into. At Varro, there's just a 3% APY, a $0 minimum, 4.9 App Store rating, which is a really high App Store rating. That's out of 5, in case anyone was unclear. That's 4.9 out of 5. But they only have 130,000 ratings, and it looks like there's no fees. FNBO coming in at number 18 has a 3.4% APY, a $1 opening deposit, and frankly, I don't understand a $1 opening deposit. I don't get it. Why? If you know, let me know in the comments, but just seems strange. App Store rating of 4.7, 13,000 ratings, and no fees. ETrade coming in at number 17. So this is the first big name brand coming in at number 17. 3.5% APY, $0 minimum opening deposit, and an App Store rating of 4.6 with only 139,000 ratings. And on the fees, I put probs not, but I couldn't find anything that there would be fees, but I just wasn't clear. They weren't actively saying no fees at ETrade like a lot of these banks are doing further down this list, but nothing that I could see that stood out as you'll probably run into fees. So Citizens APY is 4% with another $1 minimum opening deposit. Again, I don't get that. 369,000 reviews with a 4.7 star rating, and it looks like there's fees involved. At First Foundation Bank, they have a 4.2% APY, a minimum opening deposit of $1,000, App Store rating of 4.5, and only 286 reviews. It also looks like they have some fees. Citibank has made a lot of people's lists in their top 6 to 8. For me, it came in at number 14. They have a 4.05% APY, a $100 opening deposit, a 4.6 star rating with 8,000 reviews, and they do not have any fees. At Tab Bank, 4.06% APY, a $0 minimum opening deposit, and they have a 4.7 star rating on 967 reviews. So that's not a ton of reviews, but that's a pretty high APY, no fees, and no opening deposit. It looks like a pretty good option. The next one I came across is kind of interesting. It's called Salem Direct. It has a 4.1% APY, a $10 minimum opening deposit, a a pretty good App Store rating of 4.7 and 4,600 ratings, and there are no fees. So Upgrade is another bank with a 4.13% APY, which is just really high. I mean, all we're doing is storing our extra cash here, and a 4% return is pretty cool. So minimum opening deposit of $0, an App Store rating of 4.8 with 22,000 ratings, and no fees. Next is Synchrony with a 3.75% APY. Again, Synchrony made a lot of lists that I saw in the top 5 to top 10. This is the beginning of my top 10 list. So they're coming in at number 10, 12,000 ratings, and a 4.8 in the App Store. Next up is Ally. This is what I actually use. I've had an Ally account forever, but making this list, it made me think that potentially I need to switch. And I've been extremely happy with them, but potentially I need to be looking elsewhere. It kind of just goes to show that any of these top 10 are probably really good options. Also, probably a good time to note, I don't work with any of these banks. It is just strictly me doing some research, and I'm just trying to share my learnings. I'm not promoting any of these banks. So again, Ally has a 3.4% APY, a $0 opening deposit, no fees. I've never had fees with them. I've been with them for like 10 years, and they have a 4.7 star rating with 52,000 reviews, and I think that their app is pretty good. SoFi is coming in at number 8 with a 3.75% APY, so a bit higher than Ally. $0 opening deposit with 223,000 App Store ratings. They have a 4.8 star, and they also have no fees. Marcus is one that I recently heard about that I'm actually pretty excited to dive in a little bit deeper. I have a friend that said they just went to Marcus and that they've really been loving it. So it came in at number 7 with a 3.75% APY, no minimum deposit, and a 4.8 star rating with 127,000 ratings, and of course, no fees. Next up is UFB Direct, which has an astounding 4.55% APY, an opening deposit of $0, an App Store rating of 4.8 stars, and 1,900 reviews, and again, they have no fees. So Affirm made the top 5 list with a 3.5% APY, no minimum opening deposit, 1.2 million reviews, and a 4.9 star rating. That is a ton of reviews, and to have just 0.1 away from the perfect rating, definitely, and no fees. That's why Affirm is in the top 5. Next up, Amex Savings, 3.5% APY, no minimum opening deposit, a 4.9 App Store rating with 3 million, almost twice as many reviews, 4.9 star rating, and absolutely no fees. Next up, Citibank. It still made the top 3 even with some fees because it didn't look too hidden or too sketchy, but I probably would still steer away from Citi just for the fact that there are fees, and it looks like there's a lot of other great options that don't have any fees, but that's just my personal opinion, just a random thought. Number of ratings is crazy. A 4.9 App Store rating on 3.4 million reviews, no minimum opening deposit, and a pretty dang high APY of 3.85%. So coming in at number 2 is Capital One with a 3.4% APY, no minimum opening deposit, an astounding 6.7 million reviews, and a 4.9 star rating, and absolutely no fees. And coming in at number 1 with 4 million reviews, a 4.9 star App Store rating, a $0 minimum deposit, and 3.5% APY is Discover. It's not the highest APY, it has a great reputation, and people seem to love their mobile app. So to wrap this all up, basically there are a lot of options to choose from, and based on your needs and what you care about, you'll want to look into the specifics. I care about the APY, how well the mobile app works, and if people love it or not. I also want to make sure I'm not getting hit with any fees. So this is some of the research I did. This is my list and my rank order from 31 to 1. If you use any of these banks, I would love to hear your thoughts about what bank you use, why you landed there. if you think that their mobile app, the mobile part of their banking service is good or not. And with that, thank you so much for watching, hitting that like button, and subscribing. I hope you have an incredible day. Take it easy. See ya.